Folks, the picture you see in front of you is a picture of Tomi Lahren. She has a radio show, blog underneath The Blaze. And this chick is dangerous. Okay, she's just absolutely dangerous. And the white supremacists love her ass. I can imagine a bunch of them sitting on their couches watching this chicken jacking off. But that being said, she posted on Twitter this particular tweet. Here's the tweet. Meet the new KKK. They call themselves Black Lives Matter. But make no mistake, their goals are far from equality. Hashtag Dallas, hashtag Blue Lives Matter. Now, I don't know about you, but I haven't seen or heard anything from the Black Lives Matter movement that advocates for lynching, burning white people out, killing white people. Haven't heard any of that from the Black Lives Matter people. But if you know your history and the history of this country, you know damn well what the KKK did to black people ever since they formed. Now, here's one of the sections that, number one, she issued a phony stat and a phony statement. Check this out.
In terms of Black Lives Matter, you have quite a record. For somebody who is not racist, you have to spend a lot of time saying, I'm not racist. What is your biggest issue with Black Lives Matter?
I think, and I've said this many times, it started with good intentions. I think it was well-intentioned. The moment that they started pushing hands up, don't shoot, which is a false narrative, proven time and time again to be a false narrative, the minute that that became their slogan, the minute that protesting turned into rioting and looting and burning and militant actions, that's when I lost respect for Black Lives Matter.
Okay, but now here's my thing. Let's address each of these things one by one. When you go protesting turning into rioting and looting, that's not a Black Lives Matter phenomenon. That is what happens when there is a protest a lot of the time. There were people who rioted and looted when teams won in Chicago years ago. It doesn't mean that they are now bad people. That's what happens. There are some bad people in every instance. Going back to Black Lives Matter, though, for you to say that, you say they have good intentions, they had the good intentions. How are you labeling out the actions of a few and condemning an entire group? I don't understand that.
They subscribe to the Black Lives Matter movement. They say, we are the Black Lives Matter movement, fry 'em like bacon, F the police.
These are a few people. These are a few people. This is not the Black Lives Matter. That is not the platform, though.
I saw it in my city of Dallas. I saw what a Black Lives Matter protest looked like. And
All right, now she's full of shit, okay? Because there was a Black Lives Matter protest in Dallas. I live in the Dallas area. And that particular protest was a peaceful protest. The police were walking along with them, laughing and joking, and everybody was having a good time. Okay, so as far as her talking about Black Lives Matter protests, that's number one wrong. All right, she continues with another falsity.
I saw 5 fallen officers because of it. So
That's not fair and that's true.
No, it is fair, Trevor, because the shooter said, point blank shooter said he's doing this because of Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
Now, Trevor said yes, but he's wrong. The shooter specifically said he wasn't affiliated with anybody like Black Lives Matter or anybody else. So she just sprouted a lie there. Now, I guess Trevor wasn't familiar with the whole thing, so he said yes, but actually, it's no, you're wrong. He said exactly the opposite.
And there are many things you can say. I mean, if you go outside, you can say anything about doing something because of you cannot deny that the man had mental issues as well and he was in a tough place. Just because you say the thing doesn't mean it's what it stands for, right? Because you're the same person who argued on your show that just because Donald Trump has supporters from the KKK doesn't mean he's in the KKK. So it goes against that argument. You can't say he did shoot people. I'm saying you're saying this to your audience, and I honestly do not understand where you're getting that from. Just because a person, what if somebody says, I felt emboldened by Tomi Lahren, and so I went out and I shot black people? Are you now responsible?
But it's not one, Trevor, it's not one or two people. If you look at it, if you look at it in every city, look at the protests that have gone on in Baltimore, in Ferguson, in New York City, the protests that have now turned to anti-Trump protests. These are not a few people.
Okay.
This is
Okay, now that's bullshit too, because the anti-Trump protests had a few Black Lives Matter people within the protest, but the protest was not a Black Lives Matter protest. All right, so those are a couple of points. Now let's go to some more significant points. Okay, here's point number 2.
Same logic that you're using then, and then go, police, are the police racist? Because police in many cities, you look at Baltimore, you look at what happened in New York, you look at what happened in the case of Walter Scott, you tell me, are police racist? Because they've been shown to harass black people unfairly, they've been shown to shoot black people when they're unarmed. Does that mean the police are racist then? Because that's the same logic you're using.
It's really not though, Trevor, because the mainstream media is not emboldening them as a group. It's not. And did you know that a black man is 18.5 times more likely to shoot a police officer than a police officer is to shoot a black man? Those are statistics.
That's a bullshit statistic that she pulled out of her ass. That statistic does not exist. And that's what a lot of these quote unquote commentators do. They pull these phony stats out of their ass, and the person that they're saying this stuff to, isn't prepared to go up against that phony stat, so they basically let it go. No. That's bullshit. He should have called her on that one right then and there.
People will understand about you on the other side.
I wish that we could disagree with each other without thinking that we are bad people or ill-intentioned folks. So because I criticize a black person or I criticize the Black Lives Matter movement, that doesn't mean that I am anti-black. It does not mean that I don't like black people or that I'm a racist. It means I'm criticizing a movement. I criticize Colin Kaepernick. That doesn't mean that I don't believe in his First Amendment rights. It means that I believe in my First Amendment rights to criticize him. So it doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't make me a racist to point out. I mean, I've never used racial slurs to address people. I've never looked down on someone because of their skin color. To me, true diversity is diversity of thought, not diversity of color. I don't see color. I'd go after Hillary Clinton when she's the whitest thing out.
You don't see color. So what do you do at a traffic light? I don't believe in that at all.
Yeah, she doesn't see color. Yeah, right. Okay. That in itself was ridiculous for her to say she doesn't see color. Everybody sees color, whether you want to admit it or not. So she sees color just like the rest of us. And for her to say that she has never used a racial slur, which that I don't believe, but just because you don't see a use a racial slur doesn't mean that you're not a racist.
Like, all these points that you make are great, and I do believe that you believe them, and I don't believe anyone is actively trying. There are a few people who are trying to be bad from their point of view. But when I look at what you're saying, you say you're not pushing a racist narrative, you're criticizing. Do you really believe you're criticizing and you're not malintentioned when you say things like Black Lives Matter is the new KKK? Because you realize Black Lives Matter can't be the new KKK. The KKK is still around. They have not vacated their premises. And most importantly, to say Black Lives Matter is the new KKK is to really, really minimize what the KKK did and what they stand for. That is not the same thing. Surely you understand the incendiary feeling of your comments. You know that, surely.
It's controversial, but I think there are some things that need to be said. And when the Black Lives Matter movement is going out with signs saying fry 'em like bacon, F the police, when they're going out saying if you see a white person, target them, that is happening, Trevor. That happened in Milwaukee not too long ago. That is happening. So when that now becomes
That is not true. The Black Lives Matter movement has never said to target white people.
Narrative, and you're starting to loot, burn, and riot. What did the KKK do?
That is not, look, we'll go around in circles. Did you say what did the KKK do?
No, what did they do? When you're saying, listen, Trevor.
Wow.
Trevor, when you're saying, when there are people in the street saying if you see a white person beat their ass.
What did the KKK do? Did she really say that? Yeah, she did. All right, now this is the piece that he consistently asked her several times, and she never came up with an answer on it.
And the national anthem. This is something I don't understand. And when I watch your videos, I go, I truly do not understand. You say Colin Kaepernick is exercising his First Amendment rights, and you are exercising your First Amendment rights in criticizing him. So what you're saying is, you have the right to say anything you want, so shut up.
No, not at all. I'm saying I don't agree with what he did.
Yes.
I think that he went about it the wrong way. I don't think he
What is the right way?
understands.
When people say that, I'm always fascinated. What is the right way?
Here's the deal.
So here's a black man in America who says, I don't know how to get a message across. If I march in the streets, people say I'm a thug. If I go out and I protest, people say that it's a riot. If I bend down on one knee, then it's not. What is the right way? That is something I've always wanted to know. What is the right way for a black person to get attention in America?
And that's the question that she could never answer. All right, check this out. I believe he asked her at least twice, if not 3 times. And she doesn't have an answer, and neither do any of her other buddies have an answer for that one.
Now, Trevor, taking it out on our flag and our national anthem, to me,
But how?
why would you take out your perceived oppression of black people out on the national anthem and our flag? A country that you live in, a country that you benefit from, a country that people of all races have died for, have died to protect, have died for the vote, died to be enfranchised by this nation. How do you then go and disrespect the flag and the anthem of that country? Why is that the outlet?
Well, maybe you're...
Well, first of all, he didn't disrespect the flag. He never did anything with the flag. It was only kneeling during the national anthem. So she needs to take that piece out of her rhetoric.
Person who's lived and read through history, and you realize that a lot of those people of every color who died for this country, some of them didn't have the rights that their fellow servicemen had when they came back to the country after
And
fighting.
that flag means a lot to those folks too.
Maybe you're one of those people who realizes that the penal system in America was designed to oppress black people. It was designed to enslave people. It is a relic of slavery. Maybe you're one of those people. So what I don't understand is a guy is kneeling in the corner. I don't understand why that offends you so much. It's not even like he's trying to sing over you. If he was doing that, he's like, oh, say, can me see? No, he's singing. He's not doing anything that affects you. I don't understand why it gets to you. I genuinely don't. He's in a corner kneeling by himself. Why does that offend you so much?
For me, I know what that flag means to me. I know what that flag means to those that are...
Okay, she just came back to the flag again. He hasn't done anything with the flag. He's kneeling for the national anthem. She doesn't have an answer, so she's trying to fall back to a point that she's comfortable with and deflecting from the question.
Fighting for our country right now, it's bigger than a piece of cloth. It's a symbol of patriotism. Our national anthem has meant a lot to a lot of people. It's got a lot of people through very hard times. And this country, it's got its scars, it's got its wounds, it's got its history, but I still believe it's the greatest nation on the face of the earth, and I believe if you live in this country, you can want to better it. But to disrespect our flag and our anthem in that way and not be your outlet to get out whatever aggression you have, whether it be passive or active aggression, I disagree with it. And so he has every right to do it. That's his First Amendment rights, and I agree with his First Amendment right to do it. I don't agree with what he did. So because I don't agree with what he did, then now I should shut up? Because I'm white, so I should shut up? I shouldn't be able to talk about black issues because I'm white?
No one brought up white at all. I never said that. I don't see color. I don't think that that's what the argument is. What I'm saying is, I asked you one question, and that is, how should a black person bring up their grievances? That's all I ask. How? If that's not the right way, if marching isn't the right way, what is the right way?
When what he said was he is protesting the anthem and the flag because of the oppression of black people in this country. I would like him to further explain what he's talking about when he's discussing the black oppression in this country.
Yes.
Also, is it against police? Is it against the government? I'm not sure what oppression he's discussing. I would love to have him come on.
Damn, if she wasn't sure what oppression he was discussing, she sure named 2 of them right off the top of her head. And again, he asked her a question, how do you express yourselves as far as you white supremacists are concerned? And she still hasn't answered the question. That's 3 times he's asked her this question.
My show and discuss it with me. To me, when you make the flag and you make the anthem the outlet for your anger, or the outlet through which you're going to protest your country that you live in, you reside in, that you take $19 million a year from, I don't think that that is the correct outlet for your anger.
So now we roll back to the you're making a lot of money, you need to sit down and shut up. Right.
But what is he protesting? So he's...
Again, you haven't answered my question of how you want
So
that.
I'm
I'm just asking how. And I'm asking you honestly, I'm not saying in a challenging way. I'm saying to you, I don't know the answer apart from these methods. So I would like to know if you've ever thought of a how, because you're the first person I've met who said this. I've seen this message online. I'm not labeling you as the bad person. I just want to know if you've ever thought of the how. That's what I want to know.
For me, I think there are a lot of folks in this country. I, being a woman, I didn't have rights after black people until women got the right to vote. But because I feel like I'm a woman and I'm marginalized in some way, I don't protest my country. I don't see...
That's you. There were a ton of women who are out there marching for women's suffrage. That's how you got to the position that you're in now as far as being able to vote. So because you didn't do it, that doesn't mean that other women didn't do it.
What he's protesting, I would like to know exactly what he is protesting. It's a very...
So how do you know? How do you protest then? That's
I don't protest because I'm not a victim. I choose not to victimize myself. I choose not to make myself the victim. That's the difference.
Protesting is not only for... Okay, look, this is the last question I'll ask you on this. You often say a phrase which I'm really intrigued by. Maybe it's because it appeals to me. It's a phrase where you say, whenever you talk about immigrants on the show, immigrants who maybe complain or any situation like that, you say, immigrants, you should be grateful. Refugees, you should be grateful. Anyone, you should be grateful that this country brought you in. You could be out there in a country where they would be chopping your head off or killing you. You should be grateful that you're in this country. Now, am I correct in understanding that what you're saying is a person who would have a worse time outside of America does not have the right to complain about having a bad time in America?
Are you talking about the terrorists who ran people over in Ohio State? Is that what we're discussing? My most recent final thoughts.
That's
say you should be lucky to be a refugee in this country. Anytime that you are able to come into the United States of America, because there are thousands that are trying, you should respect the nation that has brought you in so graciously. I do believe that. I do believe it's a privilege to live in the United States.
Yeah, and now that's a different thing because this is somebody who's committed an act of terror. And that's a different conversation altogether, which I feel like we could go on forever. But what I'm saying is, those immigrants, do you feel that they have the right, once maybe they were refugees, but they become citizens, do they have the right to complain? Not terrorists.
Yeah, if you respect the law, if you come in legally, you respect our law, you respect our way of life, you respect human decency, in the case of the terrorists, clearly not, then absolutely. But you don't come in here illegally. You don't come into our country as a refugee or as an illegal immigrant and then believe that you no longer have to respect our laws. You come in and make your own rules. That's not how this...
So, translation, in case you need it, basically, when she gets on her regular program, she's telling all the immigrants to shut up about bad treatment and being targeted, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. She's now on this show saying, well, if you follow all of these various rules, then you have the right to say a little something, but not much. No, I'm not, I can't buy it. I'm not going to subscribe to it. So again, this lady is dangerous. She's dangerous because she is going to get a following more so than her looks, than her brain power. She is supported by people like Geller and Coulter, etc. And we all know how far right they are, especially Pam Geller. People, keep your eye on the prize. You got to watch these people, and we need to push back up against them every chance we get, because there are a whole lot of people that dumb down enough to listen to the stuff that comes out of her mouth and believe it's the Bible, believe it's scripture. Nope, not this guy.